I mean, this guy is completely perverted capitalism, Donald Trump. It's crony capitalism. It's whatever, you pay him off, give him a phone call. I mean, these illegal tariffs, which we're also in court on, all the things that are happening in this country, it's just perverse that they could be shaping the Democratic Party in the context of the socialist brand, when in fact this guy is the leading nationalist and socialist of our time, Donald Trump.
Joining us now is former Republican governor of Ohio, John Kasich. He is also an MSNBC political analyst and, dare I say, a good friend of this show. Glad to have you back, Governor, because I don't have to tell you, Republicans are supposed to be this party of small government. But then Trump goes and makes deals with Intel and chip manufacturer NVIDIA for the government to get a portion of their profits. So does Governor Newsom's accusation have some truth to it?
Well, look, I don't want to talk about Gavin Newsom, but the fact is, I don't agree that the government should be acquiring these stakes in these companies. You know, I created an economic development operation when I was governor of Ohio, and it was an independent operation that helped to recruit businesses, which has been enormously successful and put us at the top of the heap of all the states. But one of the things that I specifically said we would not do was to take a stake in companies or to invest in companies, because it usually doesn't work out. It doesn't work out if it's a Republican president, Democratic president, a Republican governor, or a Democrat governor. It doesn't work out because government is not there to pick winners and losers. And, I think that is just not a good policy. And it might be a one-time, I don't mean a one-time deal, but maybe this is what this administration is going to do. But I don't see that in the future for most Republicans. That is not what we subscribe to as those who believe as government as a last resort, not as a first resort.
When you say government's not there to pick winners or losers, I mean, if you think about Donald Trump, you think about The Apprentice, you think about the way he's run his life and the way he talks, all he does is pick winners and losers, whether in all caps on Truth Social or otherwise. Is there anything about him being president that you think maybe it could work?
Well, I think he just has instincts and he just moves on them. And, it appears as though he doesn't spend a lot of time listening to other folks. But, look, I had some Republicans, conservatives the other day say to me, what do you think about Trump making an investment here in Intel? And I looked at him and I said, well, before I answer you, let me ask you a question. What would you think if it was Barack Obama or Hillary Clinton that was trying to take a stake? And I just turned around and walked out because I didn't have to wait for the answer. This is really, really an unusual thing. And I don't think it's the right policy. I don't like the government investing in businesses and then they have some sort of a say in who's making the decision. And I just don't like bureaucrats in the middle of those kinds of things. So I have to disagree with him. And again, when I had a chance and people urged me to allow our state to invest in businesses, I said, no way. And I was in charge. So, the proof's in the pudding.
Trump's threats of federalizing more National Guards in blue states whose governors have said, stay away, and his executive order to end mail-in voting, which violates, by the way, state laws controlling their own voting process. Does the MAGA base either see or care how Trump is focused on consolidating power in the executive branch? I mean, when is the last time the judicial branch went against him, or Congress? Does MAGA want an autocrat for a leader?
Well, they just went against him on trade. You have a federal appeals court that ruled against him having authority, and I think that institution's holding up. But, Alex, I have to tell you, having served in Congress for 18 years, I have seen a significant shift, not just under Donald Trump, but under all the presidents, where executives have assumed power and where the legislature has kind of sat back and kept their mouths shut. And we've seen a withering of the legislative branch, which I don't believe is healthy for our country. You're supposed to have an executive branch that carries things out, a legislative branch that legislates and makes laws, and the court that does the interpreting. And when one of the legs of those stools is weakened, it's not good long term for our country. I do want to tell you one thing, however, about this whole issue of crime. I just got a text from somebody that says Englewood, West Garfield Park, South Chicago, their kids are dying. Research has shown many don't expect to grow up. Shame on city's leaders for not taking all the help they can get. Look, we don't want to have to see the military barging into these cities. But what I would say is if you were the mayor of a city or the governor, why not go down to the White House? And why not to admit we have a problem with crime? Because all these cities do. And to say to the president of the United States, look, you have a lot of resources and we've got a lot of needs. Why don't we just sit down and figure out how we can cooperate? And maybe there's some things we can do with some force in the short term, but let's work together. Instead, it's like they're all shouting each other from different parts of a mountaintop instead of being able to figure out how to make these places safer. And this text that came from me about Chicago, about kids, research showing kids not sure they're going to grow up. I mean, that just wants to make you cry, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That just shouldn't be that way. And so what I would say is let's try to figure out how to put the people first. And even if you're going to work with somebody you don't like, so what? If we can save some lives and do the right thing in a comprehensive and more cooperative way, that's what we should be doing.
Yeah, I'm going to put an exclamation point right behind that. As always, my friend, you bring it, and I appreciate it every time you do.
Alex, thank you for having me again.
Yep, we'll see you soon.